Have you ever wondered if your daily habits are harming the world? We move through our lives following routines so deeply ingrained that we scarcely give them a second thought. The morning coffee in a disposable cup, the new shirt bought on a whim, the short drive to the local shop. These actions, seemingly small and insignificant in isolation, are part of a much larger, more troubling narrative. A story of consumption, waste, and unintended consequences that is unfolding on a global scale, impacting the very ecosystems that sustain us. Today, we reveal the hidden dangers in our everyday routines. We will journey from the deepest oceans, choked with our discarded belongings, to the highest reaches of the atmosphere, clouded by our emissions. This is not a story of distant problems or abstract statistics. It is a story about us. It is about the direct line that connects the choices we make in our homes to the survival of species thousands of miles away and the stability of the climate for generations to come. The evidence is overwhelming, and the patterns are undeniable. The natural world, in its exquisite complexity and delicate balance, is sending us distress signals. The time for blissful ignorance has passed. We must now confront the reality of our impact, to understand the intricate web of cause and effect that we are all a part of. It's time to face the truth before it's too late, before the damage becomes irreversible and the silence of a depleted world becomes our only legacy. The age of plastic, a material of convenience designed to last for centuries yet often used for only a few fleeting moments. This is perhaps one of the greatest paradoxes of our modern era. Every single-use bottle, every wrapper, every plastic bag has a destination long after it has served its purpose. For a vast and horrifying number of them, that destination is the natural world. They are carried by wind and rain, down rivers and streams, until they reach their final repository, the great oceans. Here in the cradle of life, our plastic waste embarks on a new destructive journey. It does not simply disappear, instead it breaks down, not into harmless organic matter but into ever smaller fragments known as microplastics. These fragments form vast, swirling gyres, toxic soups of polymer confetti that are mistaken for food by countless marine creatures. From the smallest plankton to the largest whales, no form of life is immune. Seabirds are found with stomachs full of bottle caps, and turtles mistake floating bags for jellyfish, leading to a slow and agonizing death. The consequences do not end in the ocean. This plastic, saturated with toxins absorbed from the water, relentlessly works its way back to us. It enters the food chain. The fish that consume the microplastics are, in turn, consumed by larger predators, and eventually by humans. We are, in a very real sense, consuming our own waste. The convenience of a single moment has created a legacy of pollution that now contaminates our planet and our very bodies, a persistent reminder of a problem we can no longer afford to ignore. In the natural world, cycles are slow, deliberate, and sustainable. But humanity has created a new, dangerously accelerated cycle fast fashion. The relentless demand for new, cheap clothing has transformed the textile industry into one of the planet's most significant polluters. Immense fields of cotton, a thirsty crop, drain vital water sources, while the synthetic fabrics we favor, like polyester and nylon, are derived from fossil fuels, shedding microplastic fibers with every single wash. The production process is a catalog of environmental devastation. Vast quantities of water are used not only to grow the fibers but also to dye and finish the fabrics. This process releases a toxic cocktail of chemicals into local river systems. These once thriving waterways, the lifeblood of their communities and ecosystems, are turned into sterile, unnaturally colored channels, devoid of life. The vibrant colors of our clothing are achieved at the cost of the vibrant life of our planet's rivers. And what of the garments themselves? They are designed for obsolescence, worn a few times perhaps before being discarded to make way for the next trend. They pile up in mountainous landfills, leaching chemicals into the soil and releasing methane, a potent greenhouse gas, as they slowly decompose. Or they are shipped across the globe, overwhelming the waste management systems of developing nations. This endless churn of production and disposal is a linear path to ruin, a stark contrast to the circular, life-sustaining systems of the natural world. For millennia, securing enough food has been the primary struggle for most living creatures. It is a fundamental driver of behavior, migration, and evolution. Yet in many parts of the human world, we have moved from scarcity to an unprecedented abundance, and with it, a staggering level of waste. It is estimated that nearly 1/3 of all food produced for human consumption is lost or wasted. This represents not just a moral failure in a world where many still go hungry, but a profound environmental catastrophe. Consider the journey of a single discarded apple. Before it even reached the fruit bowl, vast resources were expended. Land was cleared, water was drawn from rivers or aquifers, and fuel was burned by tractors and transport trucks. Fertilizers and pesticides with their own environmental footprints were applied. All of this energy, all of these resources are squandered the moment it is thrown away. The waste occurs at every stage: on the farm, in transit, at the supermarket, and finally in our own homes. Once in a landfill, this organic matter does not simply return to the earth. Deprived of oxygen, it undergoes anaerobic decomposition, a process that releases methane. As a greenhouse gas, methane is over 25 times more potent at trapping heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide. Our mountains of rotting food are, in effect, factories for climate change, silently warming the planet. We are throwing away not just food, but the precious resources used to create it, and in doing so, we are fueling the very crisis that threatens future harvests. The ability to travel great distances with ease is, honestly, a hallmark of modern human society. The automobile, it's become a symbol of freedom and progress, totally reshaping our cities and our lives. But well, this reliance has come at a steep price, especially when we use these powerful machines for the shortest of journeys. A trip to the corner store, just a few blocks to a friend's house, each turn of the ignition, it releases a plume of pollutants into the air we all breathe. These emissions, they're actually a complex chemical brew. Carbon dioxide, which is the primary driver of climate change, is the most abundant. But there are also nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds, which react in sunlight to form ground-level ozone, a key component of smog that really irritates the respiratory system. Particulate matter, those tiny soot-like particles, can penetrate deep into the lungs, causing a whole host of health problems. We have, in a way, enveloped our communities in a low-lying, invisible haze of our own making. The cumulative effect of these millions of short, unnecessary trips is honestly monumental. A cold engine is remarkably inefficient, burning fuel more richly and producing a disproportionately high amount of pollution in just the first few minutes of operation. So, yeah, these short hops are mile for mile the most damaging of all. We've engineered incredible machines capable of crossing continents, yet we deploy them for tasks that a simple walk or bicycle ride could accomplish, sacrificing the quality of our air and the stability of our climate for just a few moments of convenience. Our homes are filled with an ever-growing array of electronic devices: televisions, computers, chargers, coffee makers, and game consoles. They offer us entertainment, connection, and convenience. But even when they are switched off, many of these devices continue to draw power from the grid. This silent, unseen consumption is often referred to as phantom load or vampire power, and it represents a colossal hidden waste of energy. These devices remain in a standby mode, waiting for a signal from a remote control or for a timer to activate. The small LED light that indicates a device is off is, ironically, a sign that it is still consuming electricity, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. While the power drawn by a single device may seem trivial, a mere trickle, the collective drain from billions of such devices across the globe adds up to a staggering amount. It is equivalent to the output of dozens of power plants, running continuously just to power our appliances while they are not in use. This constant, unnecessary demand for electricity places a relentless strain on our power grids. To meet this phantom load, power stations, many of them burning fossil fuels, must work harder, releasing more carbon dioxide and other pollutants into the atmosphere. We are contributing to climate change and air pollution not just when we are actively using our technology but during all the hours in between. It is a silent, invisible habit, a constant hum of waste in the background of our lives, powering nothing but our own inattention. Water. It is the most essential substance for life on Earth, carving canyons, nurturing forests, and composing the majority of our own bodies. In the grand scheme of the cosmos, liquid water is exceptionally rare, yet many of us treat it as an infinite and disposable resource. Our daily habits, particularly within our homes, place an enormous and often unsustainable strain on this precious commodity. The long, hot shower is a prime example of this disconnect. For every minute the water runs, gallons are drawn from local sources, rivers, lakes, and underground aquifers. These are not limitless reservoirs, they are complex, delicate ecosystems, and the life within and around them depends on stable water levels. When we overuse water, we deplete these sources faster than they can be naturally replenished by rainfall, particularly in regions already facing water stress. The consequences ripple outwards, impacting agriculture, wildlife, and the health of the entire ecosystem. Furthermore, a significant amount of energy is required to treat and pump this water to our homes, and even more energy is needed to heat it. This energy consumption, primarily from burning fossil fuels, contributes directly to greenhouse gas emissions. So, a seemingly innocent personal comfort has a dual environmental cost: the depletion of a vital natural resource and the exacerbation of climate change. We have forgotten the true value of water, turning a life-giving element into just another convenience to be consumed without thought. The natural world is the master of recycling. In a forest, a fallen leaf is not waste. It is a future nutrient for the soil, part of a perfect closed-loop system where nothing is truly discarded. Humanity, in its ingenuity, has created materials like glass, metal, and certain plastics that can also be repurposed and reborn. Yet we frequently choose to ignore this potential, consigning these valuable resources to a one-way trip to the landfill. When we fail to recycle, we are not just creating more rubbish, we are actively choosing a path of greater environmental destruction. To create a new aluminum can from raw materials, for instance, requires mining bauxite ore, a process that scars landscapes, and then smelting it, which consumes a tremendous amount of energy. To make that same can from recycled aluminum uses around 95% less energy. By tossing that can in the general waste, we sentence another piece of the planet to be mined and more fossil fuels to be burned. The landfill itself is a monument to this squandered opportunity. It is a festering wound on the landscape, a carefully engineered tomb for our refuse, but it cannot contain its contents forever. As materials slowly break down, they can leach toxic substances into the groundwater, contaminating drinking water sources for communities nearby. The sheer volume of our waste demands ever more land, consuming natural habitats and farmland. Ignoring the simple act of separating our waste is a decision to perpetuate a linear, destructive, and ultimately unsustainable system of take, make, and dispose. We have journeyed through the shadows of our daily lives, illuminating the unintended consequences of our most common habits. The plastic that chokes our oceans, the clothes that pollute our rivers, the food we carelessly discard. These are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a deeper disconnect between our actions and their impact on the fragile systems of our planet. The evidence is clear, and the trajectory is alarming, but the future is not yet written. The immense challenges we face can feel overwhelming, but we must not succumb to despair. Power lies in collective action, which is born from individual choice. Every small change counts. Will you help save our future? The decision to carry a reusable bag, to mend an old garment, to finish the food on your plate, or to walk instead of drive. These are not trivial gestures. They are acts of defiance against a culture of waste. They are the seeds from which a more sustainable and respectful relationship with our world can grow. The story of our planet will be determined by the choices we make today. It is a shared responsibility and a shared fate. We must be the generation that turns the tide. Reflect on what you have seen, discuss it with others, and resolve to make a change. The Earth, in all its wondrous diversity and beauty, is our only home. Let us act to protect it. Subscribe for more eye-opening truths and share this video to spread awareness.